G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update on the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the bearish argument, the strongest bearish argument that I can find, and why I disagree with it in a new format. I've actually got definitive evidence this time to completely, almost not really debunk the claim, but add a significant portion of evidence to the other side of the argument, hence kind of invalidating it to a certain extent. So I'll start by discussing what the bearish argument is, discussing my bear case for Bitcoin, all under the pretext and all under the context of the fact that I believe the bottom is in. I believe Bitcoin has bottomed out. I believe Bitcoin bottomed out here in November at around 15.5K, 15.4K. And I have believed that fact since 16K in December. So I've been of the opinion for a long period of time now that the bottom is in. But as we have not confirmed a trend reversal yet, even though it's my personal opinion that the trend will continue to the upside, we have not actually in the charts confirmed a trend reversal. We do hence need to discuss opposing point of views such as bear cases. Now, I'll start by saying this. There is a bear case to be made that Bitcoin will get dragged down by the traditional markets. I think that is a weak bear case. I don't think that's strong. There's three reasons for this. You've heard them before. If you've watched the channel before, you've heard them. Three reasons. One of which, Bitcoin in a recession will act more like gold because it follows the fundamentals of gold more closely, and gold doesn't necessarily get hammered in a recession. The second of which is the 4-year cycle theory. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I don't believe Bitcoin will get dragged down by the S&P 500. And the third of which is that Bitcoin is not directly correlated to the S&P. It's actually reverse correlated to the DXY, and there's no real evidence to suggest that the DXY has to be reverse correlated to the S&P, and hence there's no real evidence to suggest that Bitcoin has to go down in recession. So the whole, the recession's going to drag Bitcoin down argument, in my opinion, is actually a relatively weak argument. Now, it's possible, of course. I mean, anything's possible, but I think it's a weak argument. I think the stronger bear case you can make is as follows. Okay, the bear case is this, in my opinion. Bitcoin has not broken out of a range yet. The top of the range is 25.2K. Bitcoin historically follows Wyckoff accumulation and distribution patterns quite closely. For example, this entire pattern over here was Wyckoff distribution, this entire pattern over here was Wyckoff distribution, and this entire pattern over here was Wyckoff accumulation. We see it very, very, very regularly. And so Wyckoff is a tried and tested pattern. The charting for pattern method, I guess you could say, whatever it is, category that generally plays out on Bitcoin. What we are seeing right now is a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, and a traditional Wyckoff accumulation pattern would suggest that the current peak we're seeing right now is around here on the chart, and it would suggest we would go downwards and bottom out later in 2023 below 15.4K. So the current Wyckoff accumulation pattern suggests the bottom is not in. This Wyckoff accumulation pattern does get a little bit supported by interest rates in relation to Bitcoin. Okay, so obviously, if we're saying, and I'm not saying this is what the bear case is saying, if the bears are saying we're going to go down and we're going to bottom out lower, they can't exactly say where we're going to bottom out in price because there's no real evidence for that, but they can kind of give it an indication as to when it will be, okay? And what the interest rate chart here does in relation to Bitcoin, yellow line is interest rates, the rest is Bitcoin. It shows us that generally speaking, Bitcoin is pretty correlated to what interest rates do. What you can see is that when I draw these lines here, for example, December 2018, Bitcoin actually bottomed out the week that interest rates topped out. When Bitcoin topped out in the small rally we had in 2019, it was a large rally actually, that was the week that interest rates started dropping again. And obviously when Bitcoin bottomed out in the COVID drop, that was the week that interest rates reached their low after the COVID crash. So interest rates does have an effect on Bitcoin. Now, we have seen deviation of this, unfortunately, for the bears. For example, when interest rates started going up again, we didn't really see any effect on the Bitcoin price chart, which is interesting because the last 3 times we did before that, we saw it. So perhaps that correlation has diminished now, and that would add to the bull case. It also is worth noting, by the way, that we're seeing for the first time ever the Federal Reserve raise rates during a bear market. That's never happened before, and so we can expect unnormal things to happen. Both of those 2 points I just made support the bullish argument. But generally speaking, if you're a bear, you would think this. You would think that when interest rates top out, Bitcoin will bottom out just like we saw in 2018. And so then you ask the question, well, when will interest rates top out? And as per the market's expectations, if we head over to June, we can see that interest rates are likely to top out in June. So you can then go ahead and say that Bitcoin, if you're a bear, you can go ahead and say that Bitcoin is in a Wyckoff accumulation pattern. It has reached its top. It will not go higher than 25.2K, and it will go downwards, and it will finally bottom out somewhere lower than 15.4K in the month of June. That is the strongest bearish argument you can make. Okay? That's the argument. And basically, in my personal opinion, that's the strongest bearish argument you can make. Now, you've heard all my points against it in relation to the 4-year cycle theory, in the relation that we have a 12-year long trend on Bitcoin that is based on 6 micro trends and the presidential cycle and the halving. You've heard my opinion that Bitcoin has broken above major macro levels such as the 2-year long descending wedge formation, such as bouncing off of a 9-year long support line. You've heard all of these points as to why we shouldn't take Wyckoff accumulation too seriously. But now, on top of this, I present you this in debunking the bearish argument. We have a Wyckoff accumulation pattern. Yes, we do. However, Wyckoff accumulation does not require a new low after a local top like we've seen right now. What you see on the left-hand side of the screen is what the bears would support. This is what I personally support. This is a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, just like the one we saw before. However, we don't need to see a new low. What we can see is we can go downwards, we can consolidate like this, and eventually we can come back up and then do that. That is literally what this other Wyckoff accumulation pattern presents. And this is where I present you with my main fault in the bearish argument. I outlined the bearish argument. I told you what it is. It's a June bottom. Who knows where it'll be? Probably 13.8K. But the problem is this. That whole argument is based on Wyckoff accumulation. And how can we be confident in an argument based on Wyckoff accumulation when there's literally 2 types of Wyckoff accumulation patterns that generally play out, and one of which doesn't even require a new low? Surely then we would be forced to be more confident in the bullish case, which is backed by macro breakouts on the descending wedge formation that lasted 2 years, by a bounce on the 9-year support line, by the 4-year cycle theory. Surely then we would be forced to consider the bullish argument much stronger, I should say, than the bearish argument. That is what I will leave you with there. The Wyckoff accumulation pattern is not a reason for new lows. It is merely a possibility for new lows because there is another form of Wyckoff accumulation that does not lead to new lows. So guys, that is basically me telling you guys that the strongest bearish argument I can find is fragile at best. I believe the bottom is in on Bitcoin. I believe we've seen the macro low. I believe the 4-year cycle will continue to play out. That is my personal opinion. Obviously, if we start to lose important levels, I will start to think that opinion is incorrect. Look, here's the thing, right? If we look at this Wyckoff accumulation chart, we can see that Bitcoin should retrace about halfway back down. So it should retrace, according to Wyckoff accumulation, which is vague, by the way, somewhere in that 19K region. Even 19K makes sense because 19K is the 2017 all-time high, first and foremost. 19K is also where the 200-day SMA is. 19K is also where the bull market support band currently sits. It makes a lot of sense to retrace downwards to 19K. And so provided we stay above that level, I'm not stressed at all because I think we would be doing this second formation of Wyckoff accumulation. It is when we start losing levels like 19K that I would start taking the bearish case seriously. At this point in time, my non-biased point of view, this is non-biased, this is information, these charting patterns exist, this is completely non-biased. My non-biased point of view is that there's not enough evidence to take the actual bearish argument super seriously right now. When the evidence comes, if it comes, in form of us losing 19K, then we can start taking it seriously. At this point, it's literally blind speculation based on a Wyckoff accumulation pattern that might not even be playing out. So that's my opinion on the bearish argument. And I'm sorry to upset a lot of the bears right now. I know this kind of crushes their realities. I know this upsets them because they might have missed a 65% move to the upside since November, hoping for sub 10K. But unfortunately, this is the reality of the situation. I'm not saying that you should go long right now. I'm not saying that you should buy into Bitcoin right now, because obviously I think that even if we are in Wyckoff accumulation, even if we aren't in Wyckoff accumulation, we still have very strong resistance. You'd wait for a break of the range. It's illogical to long right now. It's illogical to buy right now. You'd wait for a break of 25.1K. But the fact of the matter is this. It's very likely that the macro bullish argument is correct. As for the daily chart, moving on from that topic there, because we've just kind of spent a lot of time on it. As for the daily chart, Bitcoin's still in an ascending broadening wedge. If we zoom into the 4-hourly chart, Bitcoin's in this pink ascending channel formation. It's in a RSI triangle. There's lots of structures we can watch. None of them look particularly good. Bitcoin is showing weakness. That's known. It had a very bad monthly candle close a few days ago. We're still compressing on the weekly chart between the 200-week SMA and the bull market support band. Bitcoin is not showing strength in the short term. I believe that Bitcoin will go downwards in the short term, but that does not mean I have to be macro bearish because the bearish arguments are incredibly weak right now. That 65% move to the upside as per the 4-year cycle theory suggested, has completely and utterly convinced me, even more so than I already was since 60k on Bitcoin, that the 4-year cycle is strong and it's alive and it's more healthy than ever. Until we see actual evidence of it breaking, I'm going to believe it's working. So that's my opinion on Bitcoin, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and check out the BitGet exchange. Get a 15% trading fee discount for life on this exchange, on an exchange that already has 5 times lower fees than Binance, on an exchange that is non-KYC, meaning you can sign up globally from anywhere in the world, which is very rare for crypto exchanges these days. Go ahead and sign up to the exchange using my referral link in the pinned comment and description below. And then also check out the Crypto Academy's Become a Trader course if you want to learn how to trade. All of the information for that one will be on the website. Again, you can find that in description and pinned comment below. And then finally, the VIP group. If you're interested in trading altcoins with me on the VIP group, daily, I post trading signals. You can check that out. It's 100 USD for 3 months. Works out to be about $1 a day. So it's very good value there. And we've had many profitable months consecutive.